Work from home is becoming the new normal. Most companies are adopting a hybrid model of remote working and some days at office. QR codes are mushrooming all across the place, and quite a few businesses are suddenly making an aggressive paradigm shift of a digital-first approach. While everything seems to be compressed onto your smartphone screens or your laptops, the Australian government has taken a bold measure of incentivizing face-to-face business networking by introducing a grant. A grant for smaller and larger and all businesses to participate in physical exhibitions or expos, as we call them. What is the main angle of the government on introducing Australian Business Events Grants program? Why is it giving away money for people to participate in such expositions? Well, the bigger question here is, if the government is shelling out a grant, is this the much needed ray of hope the industry needs today, or is this just a flash in the pan? Let's find our answers today with the industry expert, Russell McIntosh from Trade Show Training. Welcome, Russell.
I'm Russell McIntosh from Trade Show Training, and we aim to help exhibitors get more from trade shows.
Welcome, Russell. Well, Russell, let's jump to the prime question today. What is the government's angle in incentivizing physical networking when they're giving out money in the form of grants to businesses all across to participate in exhibition? What seems to be the catch here?
It's very much a needed action by the government to stimulate the exhibitors and organisers in the trade show landscape, because it has been a very tough previous 12 months with the pandemic, and this is going to push exhibitors to sign on the dotted line with the confidence that events are actually going to go ahead. Because up until this point, it's been very difficult to get that confidence with the border closures that have been happening and events being cancelled. So this also allows the organisers to have confidence to run the events because they know the exhibitors are going to be able to follow.
Right. So, Russell, let's jump a little deep, a little diver to understand what is this grant? What does this grant even mean? It just seems like money is coming in, but any more details around it?
Yeah, look, it's a grant, and there's I guess criticisms in various ways, but I think that what the federal government have tried to do here is to stimulate spending in the exhibitor space, in the organiser space, and across the event space, and that's by providing a rebate as such. It's called different things, but it's essentially a rebate to exhibitors for 50% of the costs that they expend on a trade show. Now, there are a number of conditions attached to these grants, so I would encourage everyone to read up on the different conditions, but the main ones are that it's not every trade show that's available to get this rebate on. There's a set number of shows, depending on different industries that the government's trying to stimulate. So do have a look at that list of shows on the Austrade website. And then you need to be spending, your expenditure needs to be a minimum of $20,000 on the shows that you're choosing to do. And there's 50 million in the pool, and you do need to get those applications in by the end of March. So, or if money does run out before that, even earlier. So get onto it.
Russell, let me get this correct. Say if an exhibitor has anyone participating puts up $20,000 minimum and gets the grant, the government rebates directly $10,000. Is that the calculation we're talking about here?
Yeah, using I guess the bottom figure in $20,000, the rebate would be $10,000, and say it's $50,000 that you can prove that you're going to spend on the event. That would be a $25,000. That is the amount that you would put in for as half of your expenditure.
Well, that's really beautiful, but one must ask, is this only related to the food service industry? Does it go beyond any industry, any exhibition? How is it?
Look, it's a rebate, a grant across many industries. And when I say many industries, the industries have been chosen, I guess, as a reflection of those that have been affected most by the pandemic, but also industries that the government wants to stimulate. So the digital side of things, which perhaps haven't been affected by COVID, but that they want to be stimulated by the federal government in this way. So, and that is how the organisers who have applied to be a part of this grant scheme, they will have been put into certain categories, and if they met the conditions of those various industries, then they would have been approved as the events.
Right. No, that's really good. Now let's zoom it down to who can even apply. Like, am I eligible? How does my business have to be really big? Apart from the expenditure, any particular clauses? Can you shed some light on that, please?
Yes, it's again the minimum spend will count out a number of exhibitors, because to spend $20,000 on a trade show, you need to be taking a decent sized stand. The absolute smallest stands you may not get there. But in saying that, if you were to do an event interstate, you've already automatically then going to have travel costs, which all can be claimed as part of your expenditure. So then with that type of thing and accommodation, etc., you can get up to $20,000 quite easily. So you do need to take these things into account. The other areas, when in answering, can any exhibitor have a look at going in for this grant? Yes, it doesn't matter the type of exhibitor you are, as long as you are meeting those industries that we discussed before. If you're in those industries that the government are targeting, it can be anyone. Making that minimum spend, obviously making sure that the event that you're doing is part of the grant scheme. They are the two main things to do with it. And what I would say is make sure you do a bit of a run through of what it would be to spend on these shows. Because I guess there's no point in you getting down the track of putting in your application and going through the process and then realising halfway through that, you're only going to be spending $12,000 or $13,000, because then you won't be eligible. So get those figures up front, which means have a chat to the organiser and know what you're going to be up for. And the good thing is, I will add here, is you don't have to actually have been signed up to a show to be eligible for the grant. You can be getting your figures together, putting in the application, and then have the confidence that you've got the grant prior to then committing to the show, which I think's a big tick box.
No, that's a really good one, Russell. That gives a good confidence on what one's supposed to do. Now, here's a tricky question, and I think a lot of businesses might even have it. Say plans change and people think that they want to do something, and there are these boardroom brainstorm meetings and they decide to do some another thing. Say if somebody has got a grant worth a lot more and some of their activities reduce. Say they were to spend $40,000, but they all of a sudden chop down their budget just to $35,000 after getting the grant. How does one comply with the government or do the right thing here is the bigger question.
I guess if plans change, let's say you apply for the grant and you suddenly decide you don't want to do the show, then it would be a case of letting the government know and through the processes, because you'll have to enter into a contract with the government, and part of entering into that contract is to once you've received the money, reporting back to the government as to how that money was spent, and what it gave you as a company.
Russell, now final question for you. Talking about measurement, I believe this is what you do. You help businesses get on track with what to expect, how to behave, what to do in a trade show. In a quick nutshell, can you tell us a little about you and trade show training really quickly? What is it that you guys do and how can benefit businesses out of that?
Trade show training was a business that I set up based on a history in trade shows, and I felt a real gap between exhibitors that do shows and exhibitors that do shows and are successful at them. And I'll explain that further in that a lot of exhibitors were just doing shows because that's what we do. We're just part of an industry and we turn up. And I try to get people from away from the talk of I'm going to do a trade show. If you're in that headspace, you're probably going to fail. You need to actively work out what you want to do at a trade show and how that trade show is going to benefit your business and drive more customers, more relationships and everything like that. So my business actually helps other businesses who are doing trade shows with all-rounded pre, at and post-show strategy.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Russell, for joining us. That was really an insightful session, and I hope a lot of businesses take cue from it and are encouraged to actually apply for this government grant, which is such a massive initiative, actually a boost out there. Now that we have heard from Russell about what is this grant all about, what should someone do in the grant, how should they apply, let's actually have a look at from one of the expo managers who's actually conducting one right now.
Hi, I'm Tim Collett and I'm an exhibition organiser. If the pandemic's taught us anything, it's that we have to get face to face. We have to get out and see our customers. That's how we do business. Buy from people. The internet is great, but let's face it, it's boring. If you know what you're looking for, you can make it work. But if you're looking for new ideas, new products, it's really inefficient. It just doesn't work. It's boring. Why should you visit a show? Well, if you are in a restaurant or a cafe or a hotel or a food store, you really see your four walls. Where do you get new ideas from? You get people sending you information, you get some reps to the door, and they're great. They're really good, but you are getting only a small part of the picture. Think about an exhibition. It's a bit like the magic faraway tree. Once a year it comes your way. You can go up there and it's the land of new ideas and new products. You've got 300 or 400 companies there all wanting your business. It's so important to be part of your industry. This is your chance, the only chance where everyone is coming to one place to learn about new products. You've got to be there. You've got to be there showing your range with your people, talking about your products. It's efficient. It generates business. It gives you feedback. It lets you launch new products. It lets you position your product in the market and show why it's just right for that consumer. They really are incredibly valuable. They're incredibly powerful. Put some effort into it and you'll get an amazing return.